Sir, can you unmute, sir? Anand Prabhu, sir. Hello? ಕೇಳಿಸ್ತಾ ಇಲ್ಲ ಅನ್ಸುತ್ತಲ್ಲ? Hello, sir. Sir, good morning, sir.
ವಿಡಿಯೋ ನೋಡಿದ್ರೆ ತಾನೇ ಕಾಣಿಸ್ತದ ನಿಮಗೆ?
Anand Prabhu, sir. Sir, can you hear my voice? Sir, good morning, sir. Anand Prabhu, sir.
Very good morning to you, sir, and good morning to all of you present here.
Sir, good morning, one and all. Good morning, one and all. Myself, Girish M., Assistant Professor, Department of CSC, Computer Science and Engineering, Gopalan College of Engineering and Management, Bangalore. So, firstly, I welcome the speaker, Dr. Anand Prabhu ji. So, firstly, I welcome the speaker, Dr. Anand Prabhu ji, and all the participants for the AICT sponsored 6 days online STTP on cyber criminology and network security organized by Department of CSC. And topic for today's is find anyone using OSINT. Okay, so let me introduce about today's speaker, Dr. Anand Prabhu ji. So, sir is currently working as associate professor in Sahyadri College of Engineering and Management, Mangaluru. So his areas of interest is cyber crime investigation, cyber law. So he has conducted more than 1,500 workshops. So he is a trainer for Karnataka Judicial Academy, Bangalore, Karnataka Police Academy, Mysore, Police Training School, Gulbarga, Mangalore City Police. So he is an administrator for Cyber Crime Knowledge Group Judiciary, Cyber Crime Knowledge Group Police, Cyber Crime Knowledge Group Public Prosecutor. Sir has published more than 20 international journals, and also he has authored several books, namely Little Black Book for Teachers, Little Black Book for Students, I Won the Monk's Ferrari, Glorious, Bharat Part 1 and Part 2, so Text Message That Killed Me, Cyber Safe Girl version 3.0, The Samurai Who Sold His Suzuki, and finally my grandfather's planchette. Sir, once again I welcome you for this session, sir. Thank you, sir.
Unmute.
Oh, sir, can you unmute, sir?
Just a second.
Okay, sir. Thank you very much, sir. So you can please take over the session, sir.
Am I audible, and is the
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Audible, sir. Is it not audible, sir? Is the
screen?
Sir, remove the small box, sir, on your slide on the right side.
Okay. Is the screen visible to all of you?
Yeah, no.
Yes, sir. It is visible.
Okay. A very good morning to all of you.
Good morning, sir.
I thank the management and the college for giving me an opportunity for the second time to interact with all of you. Unfortunately, because of the change in weather and a lot of traveling, a very bad throat and a little bit of cold. Thankfully, COVID negative because I've got my reports tested. but still I have requested for a shorter duration session today, only the reason being of my ill health. But nevertheless, I will try to cover all the topics that I have planned for today's session. So today's topic is about finding anyone using OSINT. Okay. But before that, I want to tell all of you, since February, March, India has, not just India, the whole world has been battling against COVID. And the Information Security Education and Awareness, which is an initiative of the Government of India, came out with amazing posters creating awareness about two things. So on the left side, we have awareness about keeping your physical health fit, and on the right side you have awareness about keeping your cyber health fit. So how to be safe physically on the left side, and how to be cyber safe on the right side. So such awareness posters were created and they were circulated, and every day a new poster was almost designed. And I request everyone to please download these posters. So you can download them by scanning this QR code, or you can also visit ise.gov.in, Information Security Education and Awareness. And once you download them, I request you to please forward these messages instead of a regular good morning message which most of us send to each other, because these messages can keep your near dear ones as well as your family members not just physically well, but also the cyber safe as well. So considering that, one more point I would like to make is, whenever you get such QR codes, I know that I had asked you to scan this QR code, but before you scan the QR code, you need to be very, very aware, because these days a lot of QR code scams are happening, where because most of us are using the payment gateways by e-wallets and like pay and things like that, where scanning QR code is very, very much important. And without that, most of the transactions do not happen, especially when we go to a merchant. Therefore, we have to be very careful, because QR code is a quick response code. It's a two-dimensional code. And because these codes do not have the content which is understood by the user, unless and until you use a tool for trying to decipher what exactly that is, it can take you almost anywhere. And the police are almost getting lots of cases where many are promised of receiving money. They get such QR codes, they scan the QR codes, and then they enter their UPI, and then they lose out whatever money they have in their accounts. Now, one thing that all of us need to remember is, whenever we receive money, the QR code, once it is scanned, will not ask for the UPI. Only when we have to transfer money, the UPI is requested. Otherwise, the UPI is never requested. Therefore, I request you to please put this awareness message as much as possible on your social media, especially Facebook, Instagram, and WhatsApp, so that the people can understand about the importance of entering UPI only during sending money and not during receiving. So talking about QR codes, I had also given this explanation in my last lecture, wherein there was a girl who was sitting next to me in the airplane, and she got down from the plane. She disembarked from the plane, and like any other passenger, even she took her boarding card and the boarding pass, whatever is there. She tore it into two pieces and put it into the dustbin. And once it was in the dustbin, if you can just pull it out, you can see that the boarding pass will be having a QR code there. You can see the QR code at the left-hand side corner. So what does this QR code do? If you can use an app, something like Read My BOP, okay, READ, Read My BOP. So BOP stands again for the boarding pass. All you need to do is just scan this particular QR code that you are seeing there, and upon scanning them, you can get a lot of information about that particular person. Now, why am I telling this? Is because, again, this is open source information only. Because you got the which you did not have some time ago, because you could find it in the dustbin. Now, why could you find it in the dustbin? Because the person who discarded it did not discard it, shred it before putting it into the dustbin. So a very important point for all of us to note is, if there are any important documents, especially containing QR codes, containing barcodes and things like that, it is better to tear it into several pieces. Even better if you can have a shredder which can shred these documents into many pieces. And then again, when it comes to the dustbins, I always recommend you put one half of it in one dustbin and the remaining half in another dustbin, not all the pieces into the same dustbin, because there are tools which can unshred these shredded documents and they can recreate the original document once again. So we have moved a long way when it comes to cyber security, cyber crimes and cyber law, wherein earlier it was only about tapping the phone. So from landline hacking, we have come all the way to cryptojacking. So in the 1990s started the generation one of the cyber attacks, and right now we are in the fifth generation, which is about 2017 and beyond. So we use large-scale multi-vectors, mega attacks, and using advanced tools. Now these tools, most of these tools that are included are also the ones that we're going to discuss today for open source intelligence, because 95 there was a boy who was flying a kite happily, and 2020 the same guy is using a drone for recreation. Now the point which I want to make here is, even a 2-year-old boy, my friend's son, who does not have his food, if he is not shown with a YouTube video, and you don't have to open the YouTube video, you just give the tap to his hands, he knows where to go and open the video and watch the video. So considering that level of advancement when it comes to the younger generations, we need to also remember that a lot of our data is online. So we have to take care. And in 2010, there was a helicopter, there was a pilot, there was a cameraman and a camera, and all these things have got replaced by just one single drone. So it is time for all of us, you and me, to upgrade ourselves, because in India, if you are expected to have a license to ride a two-wheeler or drive a four-wheeler, you are expected to go to the exam, and then you have to wait for some time and then give your main exams, and finally he would give you the RTO would give you the license. But before that, you are expected to learn about the Indian Motor Vehicle Act, isn't it? But to use the internet, there is an act in India which is called as the Information Technology Act, which came into existence in the year 2000, and ever since it has got amended. But how many of us know about that act? So because of this, one of the main reasons, because of this, a lot of untoward incidents happen. So my request for all of you is, please visit the Cyber Law website of India, Information Technology Act. You need to download it and just go through it to better understand the policies and the penalties and everything related to information and technology. Because in the year 2020, we are having 4.58 billion people on the internet compared to the 7.3 billion in the world, and 3.5 billion Google searches and 5 billion videos are viewed on YouTube. And so the internet penetration is estimated for 59% of the globe. So considering all these aspects, you can imagine the volume of data that is available. But data again is useless unless and until you can extract information from that data. Therefore, how to extract information from the data? This is possible by using certain tools and certain techniques, which we will be seeing in some time from now. So what exactly is OSINT? So OSINT is the intelligence from the publicly available information that is collected, exploited, and reported to address a specific intelligence requirement. So as I told you over here, there's so much of data. So 4.58 billion people on the internet, so their data. Then 305 billion emails sent every day. So imagine the volume of data. The Google searches searches that are done, the 1 trillion unique URLs that are accessed. So a lot of things are happening over the internet every second. Now this data can be used to collect and exploit and report to address a certain intelligence requirement. So OSINT, as I said, it is open source intelligence, and it can be anything to do with audio clips, video clips, pictures, text documents, maps, geolocation, social media data. Social media data is again called as SOCMENT, where SOC stands for social, and then again M for media, and INT is intelligence. So instead of OSINT, we use SOCMENT, and SOCMENT these days, goodness, it is used to such an extent that you can profile people based on their social media handles. So just to give you a very important information, so we have been talking about OSINT, open source. So what is closed source? So open source is any information that is available openly online, and information that is not available openly online. See, it might be online or it will be online, and it is not available for you to access it. For example, my email is available online, my inbox is online, but it is not available for you to access it without my username and password. So that type of information, it can be government information, financial data, intellectual property, HR records, hospital data. So all these things are data that is there, but not available for you to publicly access it unless some hacker has hacked into it, taken it out and put it into the dark web of the website to access. So this type of information is called as closed source, and the ones that are available for you open freely is called as open source. So who can benefit from OSINT? Now this can be a very important question which many of you might be thinking. So if you ask me, OSINT can be used by anybody and everybody. Now why am I telling anybody? Because we need to understand what information about us is online. So this is a very, very important thing, because you need to know how much of your public information, sorry, private information has gone public. So this is one thing that we need to understand. Now, why am I telling this? I'm telling this because we search about others, but how many of us have actually searched about ourselves? So this is a very important. So other than that, information security, investigators, law enforcement, military, business, attorney, and trust me, also OSINT is used these days extensively when you are applying for a visa. So if you're applying for a visa to any other country, they are going to search for your information online to check if there are any criminal cases against you, to check what is your inclination, what kind of behavior you display online, who are your friends, who are your network, what is your job, or where are you working. So all these things are checked before granting a visa to you, and also they are used by these employers. So employers, what they do is, if you are going to apply to their company, so they do a profiling based on your social media and the information about you that is available, so that they actually know more about you than what you have tried to show in your resume. Okay. And also for our personal side self, what we do is we use OSINT for vacation planning. We check the reviews and the feedback that have been given in Amazon or any of the websites. Before buying car, we go to certain websites and check for the reviews. We use this for feedback. We use it for online dating sites. We use it for housing. Everybody use OSINT. I repeat, OSINT is open source intelligence. And as all of you know, the internet is huge, and 4% of the internet is only accessed by indexed by the search engines. So which means the OSINT information that you get is only from the 4% of the web that you are seeing. Unless and until you have certain tools to access the deep web, again, it will not be a regular method. It has to be called as hacking, because you are getting into a space which is online, but it is actually not possible for a person to access because they're not indexed. So this is one thing. And then finally you have the dark web. Okay, dark web again you can access. So because dark web, the information can be accessed by using certain browsers like Tor browser, where you can access these sites that are there online. So roughly 6% plus 4%, that's about 10% of the information you can get using the OSINT techniques. So where do you find OSINT data? Again, social media, it can be dating apps, sports apps, blogs, documents, your partner, family, friends, almost everywhere. The open source intelligence is there. So the how do you collect the data? Again, it is by using certain tools and certain resources. So I think you have all attended the session by one of my gurus, Sanjay Sahai sir, where he says data is the new oil. Okay, so the data is the a lot of information can be extracted from data. So data is the new oil. So what is the process of OSINT? So there are 5 steps here. One, identify the source. Once you identify the source, you harvest the data. Once you get the data, you process it and make it look very, organize it properly so that you can extract meaningful information. So after extracting the meaningful information from that, you have to analyze them. And once you analyze whatever you have found out, you have to create the report. So basically there are 5 steps in OSINT process. So the best place for you for OSINT is called as OSINT Framework. I request you to please note this down. OSINT Framework is a website where you get thousands of tools, which are available online for you to check and gather information. I have selected some very important tools from this website, which is there in today's PPT, and you don't have to worry. I will make sure that this PPT is available to you after this session, so you can download the PPT and you can use it for constructive purposes. So look at this. So from the OSINT website, you can get tools to check usernames, email addresses, social networks, telephone numbers. So there's so many tools that are there which can be used. Again, there are 4 types of tools there. So one is the Google Docs. Other one is it requires registration. Third one is you have to install the tool. It is not a web tool. And the fourth one is it is an online URL for you to access it. So this is how the OSINT framework basically works. Now, what to look for? I tell you, you have to search for yourself also online. So you have to look for the name, the username, date of birth, email accounts and passwords, employment information, the mobile work or phone, whichever you are using, and social media information, the post. Social media, again, very important because we post so many things. If you have your personal website, I don't think your website will have so much of information than what you post on your blogs or on your social media. So that is how it is. Now let's get into business now. Let's try searching for this guy by name Jeffrey Bruin. All you know about him is he cycles and he's from Netherlands. So these are the 2 informations that you have about him. Jeffrey Bruin, he cycles and he's from Netherlands. So let's see how to use OSINT and try to get more about him. So the first thing is we need to search. We need to search about him. So when we talk about searching, we will be using search engines. Now, which are the some of the search engines? We'll look at this. You have Google, you have DuckDuckGo, you have Yahoo. Now there are so many search engines. Okay. Now you may be thinking, why should I use different search engines? Why not Google? Because Google everybody uses. Why don't I just stick to Google and try to get information about Jeffrey Bruin? Now let me show you. If you're going to search for something called as Malka Tarnovo and Syria. Now these are the 2 words. Look at the way in which the results are shown. Look at the way. So I have compared DuckDuckGo and Bing and Google. You can just see how the results are. The results are totally varying. The results are totally varying, and unique hits are different. Google and Bing showing the same results are different. Bing and DuckDuckGo showing the same results are different. So unless and until you try to, if you ask me which is the the best search engine. For a particular keyword, the search engine that you're seeing might not be good than some other search engine. So we have to use different search engines in order to get better results. So therefore, you need to understand that it is not just enough to search on one search engine, but we need many. So these are the lists of some of the good search engines that are there. This is the updated list. So a lot of search engines are mentioned here. You don't have to note it down because I'll be sharing the PPT with you. So first thing that you need to do is search for the person on all these particular search engines, number one. But you need to also understand that whatever you search gets stored in the servers. Okay, whatever you search, it gets stored. So something that you have searched 7 years back is again stored in the server, because that is how these search engines, they profile you. They try to understand more about you, what you search and things like that. Now, I know that many of you might have got a little bit of heart attack also, because you have searched for something and probably 7 or 8 years back, and now you regret for searching that. So you need to remember that while searching, you have to be very, very careful. Now, if you do not want the search engine to remember what you're searching, yes, so there are search engines which are called as privacy-oriented search engines, and the best one is DuckDuckGo. There is Speakia, there's Quant, there's Oscobo. So there are many search engines which you can use. These are privacy-oriented search engines, and they will not store your information. So this is very important for you to remember. Now, there are again some search engines which are specific to the country. Okay, so there is Yandex for Russia, there is Baidu for China, there is DOM for South Korea, there is Goo for Japan, there is Sapo for Portugal. So you need to remember that also, because depending upon the country, you will have different results that are showing. So certain things might not be shown on Google or Bing. So you need to also know the person, which country he belongs to, and which is the search engine that you may have to use. So this is the preliminary homework that you need to do in order to search about somebody. Now, there are also certain search engines which are called the meta search engines, which gives you little more information about various other things, where you can use more filters, you can use more query optimizing methods, you can use more filters. So this is called as the meta search engine. So you can use these as well for you to get more information on a particular subject. Also, you can search based on images. So the best being TinEye. You have TinEye, you have Google image search, you have Bing image search. So you can give an image as an input and you can try to get the results out of it. Usually what we do is we give the search keyword and we get the images, right? So here you can give an image and you can try to get the search results out of it. So now let's, I was talking about Jeffrey Bruin because that's what we have to search. Since you know that he cycles, you should know that all the cyclists register on a particular website called as Strava. So what we do is we go to Strava and we search about Jeffrey Bruin. We get his profile. So our first step is success. So we got his profile. We got to know that earlier we knew he's from Netherlands. Now we got to know he's from Hilo, Netherlands. So we got one more information. Then we also got to know when he rides his bicycle, when was the last time he rode his bicycle, the map route, and so on and so forth. Now look at this. So much of information we got about Jeffrey Bruin. And we are not happy with it. We want more information. So what are we going to do? So we are going to search for him on Twitter. So when we search for him on Twitter, see his username, Jeffrey1981, which is very clear that his birthday is in the year 1981. 99% sure it is. Okay, might not be. But again, most of the times what we do is we use our year of birth as the particular keyword for our usernames. So we also got about his location, Alkamar, then we got a website of his, and we also got some photos. Now, photos we have got. Now, what I can again do, I can get more information. You can search for a person on this website called as truepeoplesearch.com. You go and search for that person. that person's publicly available phone number, if it is there, you will get, and also the address, if it is there, you'll get. So this is a beautiful tool. Okay, True People Search. So you search for his name and you'll get a lot more information about him. You may also go to this website called thatsdem.com. So in That's Them, again, you give the person's name or you give the street address, you can get to know more about them. So you can find people by using this. So these are the search engines for people. Okay, so the first one being truepeoplesearch.com and the second one being thatsdem.com. Now, once this is done, we also go to this site called as rocketreach.co. Now, Rocket Reach is a first degree connection. So when you search for somebody, it also tells you a lot. What is his Facebook, which is his Twitter, which is his Reddit, which is his phone number, what is his email addresses. So you'll get a lot more information about some professionals from this particular site called Rocket Reach. Also, what you can do is, since you know that there are hundreds of social media sites, and we know about a few sites only. We know about Facebook and Twitter and Instagram, but there are many more sites, and you would want to know if that person is registered on other sites. So you can go to this website called checkusernames.com. Simple. Okay, and you check for his username Jeffrey Broin, and you give check username. Just click on that. Now it will tell you which are the sites he is registered on. Okay, so now once you get to know that he's registered on Amazon, he's registered on eBay, he's registered on some news website like LiveLeak and things like that, it becomes easier for you to gather more information about him. So check username is a fantastic tool for you to understand which are the other sites the username that person might have got registered. Okay, so basically check username is a tool that is used for you to find out over 500 social networks if that name is available or not. Okay, if it is available or not, for you to go and register on that site. But what we are doing is we are using this tool to check whether that person is there or not. You got it, right? So this is how we are going to use it. And also you can search over another site called Knowem, a similar site like check username. So it will also give you the similar results. Knowem, Knowem. So it will tell you whether the username is available or not. So if it is unavailable, you know that somebody else has registered with that name. So you can do a more profile searching of that particular person. Another thing is there is a very good site called as lular.com. Okay, but you need to visit this site as com.lular.com. Okay, instead of www.lular.com, go to com.lular.com and you can just enter the email address there, and it will tell you that email address is registered on which all different types of sites. So this is very, very important, and right now we have got to know that this guy, Jeffrey Broin, is on LinkedIn. Now, when I go to LinkedIn, now I get to know so much more about him, which school he studied, which college he studied, which are the previous jobs that he has worked with, what is his current job, and a lot of information I can get from LinkedIn, and also I can get to know his connections. So he's got 500 plus connections, so I get to know more about who are the people he's associated with. And I can go to this Yellow Pages website and I can search about his name, and then I get to know the location where his house is. So this is very dangerous because see, I got the Jeffrey Bro in Helio. He is in a place called 185 IAT. So we need to remember that a lot of information is available online. And I got to know the company that he is with. Okay, now this works only for the Indian sites, but I just want you to know there are sites which for country specific sites are also there, but I'm going to give an example of an Indian site. Now here what I'm going to do is you enter the name of a company. You go to the site called zaubacorp.com. You enter the name of a public limited company or a private limited company, okay? Or you enter the name of the director, or you enter the name of the complete company, and then you search. Now I have searched for a company called Panama Corporation. Now when I search for Panama Corporation, I get to know what is the email address of that company, what is the website of the company, where is the company, and also who are the other directors in the company. Now look at this, which year was the director appointed, and also if there are any past directors of that company, I get to know. So this is very, very, very important for you to know who are the directors of a particular company. Now, once you get to know that, what you can do is you can click on the director's name to understand that particular director is director in which other companies also. Now, why is this important? Because probably that director may be associated with some other shell company. The director may be associated with some other fraud companies. You never know. So you can try to get more information about that person by finding out for the directors. Okay, now you got the directors. Now I clicked on Vivek Bikarnakate and I got to know that he is also the director in some other companies, which is in the year 2010, 2014, and 2012. Okay, now these companies. Now, if I click on these companies, I get to know who are the other directors and so on and so forth. So a lot of information. You don't have to contact the registrar of companies, ROC, Government of India. Instead, you can just for the person and get the director identification number and try to get more details about that particular person. So, and also you can get to know which are the companies with similar names, because you know many a times people create similar name companies so that they can what do you say, cheat people. So this is one more important thing that you need to remember. Now let me search for that guy on Facebook. Okay, I search for Jeffrey Bruin on Facebook. On Facebook, I get to know a lot more things about him, and I also get to know that he's married and he's got a wife, and he goes to one particular pub to drink. He's got that child whose photo was there in Twitter is his daughter. I got to know her name and things like that. Okay, so this much of information I got. See, I just started with Jeffrey Bruin from Netherlands and his cycles. That's all I knew. Now look at how much of information I know about him. Okay, so this is called as harvesting the data using OSINT. OS. Now I have an assignment for all of you. The assignment is you have to search about yourself online. Okay, you have to go and search about yourself. How do you search? Search for your first name, search for your username, search for your email addresses, put your phone number and check which are the websites that are showing your phone number. Put your social media profiles, date of birth, and don't put your password, because I hope your password is not linked somewhere. But then you never know. A lot of things may be put public, which are supposed to be private of yours. Okay, so search for all these things. And how do you start? So you can start with your first name, first name, middle name, last name. So different combinations like Anant Prabhu Gurpur, APG, Dr. Anant Prabhu G, Dr. Anant. So the different combinations you can just give, and you can start searching. But the important thing that I want to tell you is search on this site called as pimeyes.com. So pimeyes.com is a face search engine. So if you just upload your photo, it will tell you where your face appears online. It's a fantastic tool. Okay, so what it does is it tells you where are the various places that your photo is. See, you never know. Probably you are sitting in a bar and somebody has taken photo in the next table and you have come in the background. Probably your face would show on that particular photo as well. So if you get to know that, you can just ask them to delete it, because that was your private moment and you don't want your private photo to be public because somebody else thinks it is public. So PimEyes is a website that I want you to visit, and I want you to find out more about your images that are available online. So this is very, very important. And as you know that there is a concept called as the Google Docking. Now, what is Google Docking? Google Docking is where you try to exploit Google, you try to hack Google by using different keywords and different operators so that you can extract more information from Google. Now, I told you, when you're searching for a name, Jeffrey Bruin, if you add double quotes and you search, you just write J. Bruin, results are totally different. Understand this. when it comes to a website, there are four things that you need to remember. One, when you open a tab, you can see the name there, isn't it, on the tab? So that is called as in title. Okay, and you see the URL there, and the page that has opened is index.html. Now that index.html, that is a file type. What is the file type? It's .html file. Okay, the URL, the techbravery.com. Okay, .co.in. So that is the URL, and the site, the entire thing, techbravery.co.in/index.html. So this is what I want you to know. I want you to know that how this particular search works. Now, why did I tell this? Because you can use different operators. You know that Google stores your web pages, so in cache memory. So you can just give cache and you can search so that Google shows stored pages. You can search link, it will show you the links only. You can show related, so that it will show you pages related to that. So different operators are there which you can use. For example, tomorrow you have a lecture on cyber security and you want to download PPTs on cyber security. So if you put on Google cyber security PPT, you may get a lot of results where some websites open and some PPTs open. But if you give file type PPT and cyber security, then only the PPT files results of cyber security will show up. So this is very, very, very important for you to understand. So please understand that whenever you are searching for such things, you need to remember that if you use operators, these operators are definitely going to make it look very, very better, the results. Okay, now see this in URL .in I've given, and in title as login. So it will show you the login pages of all these websites. Okay, which the URL should have in it. So it can be dps.in, it can be LinkedIn. LinkedIn has got in, aview.in and login. So this way we are trying to extract more information. So this is called as the advanced operators. Now, how do you get the advanced operators? There is a website called as exploit-db.com, which is a fantastic site for you to check. Just a second. Yeah, it is a fantastic site for you to check for exploits, and also you can scan this QR code. I know that now you will not be scanning the QR codes because I have told you not to scan them, but then you can visit this website called as ahrefs.com and Google Advanced Search Operators, which will give you all the different operators that you need in order to do a better web search, okay? One more thing that I want to tell you. Now you know that this is a website, this is a website, techbravery.co.in, but you know that for your client system to connect to the server, it is not enough to have the website name. You need to have the IP address. Now, who gives you the IP address? IP address is given to you by the DNS. So anytime you are going to connect to a server, the connection directly doesn't happen to the server. So when you search for something, first it goes to the DNS server. DNS gives you the IP address of that particular website. So once you have the IP address, you can connect it. Now with this DNS information, that is the domain name server, okay, the domain name service. So with that, you can get a lot of information. Now what is the domain name service server information? Look at this. You can go to this site called viewdns.info. Now you go to this site, you can just enter the website, okay, say facebook.com or any website. You get the IP address of that site, number one. Not just the IP address, you can also get to know where the DNS server is located. You can get to know the mail exchange server of that particular site. You can also get to know the subdomains that are there. Now, what are subdomains? Like images.google.com, drive.google.com, forms.google.com. So that way, these subdomains that are there, you can get all these subdomains. Now, Google has got 588 subdomains. Just imagine, okay? So you can get so much of information about a particular domain from their subdomain, so you can understand. Now, I told you, if you use this first feature, which is called as reverse IP lookup, so you will get to know the IP address of a particular site. You get the IP address and you go to this site called as liveipmap.com. Okay, you go to the site called liveipmap, you put that IP address there, it will tell you where the server is hosted. So you will get to know where a person, the server is hosted, or probably if you use certain tools, which I will tell you in some time, you can also get to know where that person is as well using the IP address. So how is this possible? We will see it in some time. But before that, I request all of you that if at all you see your website, on any of the websites, you see your email address that is openly there, probably your email address has got breached or compromised. So I request you to please visit this website called haveibeenpawned.com. Okay, haveibeenpawned.com, and put your email address there, and you can check whether your email address is pawned or not. So I checked mine is pawned, because not because somebody has pawned it, it is because I have logged in somewhere and that particular server must have got breached, and that is why it is pawned. So if at all your email address is pawned, you have to make sure that your email address has got what? Number one, two-factor authentication, and number two, your email address should have, very importantly, minimum 14 characters in the password, and the password should have uppercase, lowercase, numbers and symbols. So minimum 14 characters. This is very, very important for you to remember. All right. So once having said that, now look at this. This is a photograph. So you got this photograph of mine, and now you want to know where my photograph was taken. So one more important aspect of your OSINT is you can extract a lot of information from photos and videos. So how do we do that? So you upload this photo on this site called as pic2map.com. So when it is uploaded on pic2map.com, it will tell you exactly where it was taken. Now this photo was taken at the Kollam beach in Kerala. So I got to know about that. Apart from that, now look at this photo. This is of a girl. Now you want to know whether she's so pretty or whether the image has been edited. So what you can do is you can just upload this image on a software which is called as Ghiro. It's an open source software. It's a digital image forensic tool, Ghiro, G-H-I-R-O. Now once you upload it there, you will get a lot of information, not about the GPS. You will also get about the error level analysis, hash matching, signature engine, thumbnail consistency, thumbnail extraction, metadata, everything about that image. You can also get to know if the image has been used with any software for enhancement and things like that. So the important point here which I want to make is about thumbnail consistency. I don't know how many of you have experienced this. Many a times we receive a photo or an image on WhatsApp. Okay, it will be of a small child. So what we will do is we are in a meeting and we'll just open that image. But when the image opens, it is of some porn hero or heroine. Now, how did this happen? This happened because they use a different thumbnail for an image. And when the image is opened, you get some other image that shows up. So this is called as thumbnail inconsistency. So all these things you can check with a particular photo. And you can also use one more tool which is called as photo forensics. And this is so good that it also tells you whether the flash was on when the photo was taken. Okay, whether the flash was on, what was the ISO, which is the camera that is used, which date was the photo taken, whether the photo has been edited. All these informations you can get. It is a totally free open source web portal which is called as photoforensics.com. So this is how you can do the image forensics for a particular OSINT search. Because now why am I telling this is you need to know a lot of things, like you get this a person's photo, you want to know where the photo was taken, you want to know which camera he has, you want to know which date it was taken and things like that. So along with that, sometimes you might also get a code. Now we want to know from where the code is. So you can go to this code, a website called searchcode.com, a fantastic website. You can search codes here. Like in Google, you can't search a code, but in this site, you can search codes. About 75 billion lines of codes are there from 40 million projects. You can search the different codes and you can get more information about that. Also, if you are following me on Facebook, you must have seen that after every post I use a hashtag called as Stay Blessed. Okay, now this is my page, which is Dr. Anand Prabhu Gurpur, which I request all of you to please follow me on Facebook and stay connected with me. So now this particular site that you're seeing, this page you're seeing, Stay Blessed, I can try to get a lot of information from hashtags. These are called as hashtags, and you must have seen on Instagram, on Facebook, on various sites, people who use a lot of hashtags. So what you can do is you can go to the site called as hashit, okay, .com. And you can just search for the hashtag, and when you search for the hashtag, it tells you a lot of information, okay, a lot of information about that particular hashtag, who are the other people who are using the hashtag, why is that hashtag used, and so on and so forth, or which was the day this particular hashtag trend came into creation, who was the first person who came out with that, and things like that. So hashit.com, okay. Now let's see one more thing. Now that person has sent you an email. All you need to do is you have to just click on the three dots at the corner or the drop down box at the corner and go to something called a show original. So any email that is visually very pleasant with a GUI, when you do show original, automatically it gets converted into a text format. All you have to do is copy that particular header from the particular email address and open it on a website called as MX Toolbox. I repeat, MX Toolbox, in that you have email header analyzer. Okay, email header analyzer. So you go there and you just copy and paste that particular header from the email that you have just selected. You will get to know from where the email, okay, you will get to know from where the email has come. You will get to know the server, you will get to know the country, you will get to know the domain, everything. Unfortunately, the email header analysis doesn't work if it is Gmail to Gmail, because Gmail, they strip off all these email headers when it is between their services. But if it is from some other server to Gmail, you don't have to worry. You will get the email header details. And sometimes in the email, if you get some content that is some other language, you don't have to bother. You can just go to Google Translate and you can just paste, and Google will detect the language. You don't have to remember which language it is, or you don't have to know which language it is. All you need to do is just paste it there and Google detects. And this is very, very important, especially if you are doing OSINT of somebody who belongs to some other country. Because trust me, my dear friends, if you know OSINT, you can earn a lot of money, a lot of money, because this process is called as reconnaissance. I repeat, it's called as reconnaissance, where you try to gather information about somebody. And if you are good at OSINT, you will have industries approaching you, you will have law enforcement agencies approaching you, you'll have a lot of people who will come and approach you to gather information and give, and you can charge good money. And many a times you may experience these instances where you get some other different language there. Don't worry, go to Google Translate and you can just paste that content there, and Google decides, detects and tells which language it is, and you can translate that particular language to English. Well, once you get a website and you want to know that is this website unique, or are there any websites that are similar to that, you can use this tool called as findsimilarsites.com. Go to findsimilarsites.com. You can just write that domain there, whichever you are searching, and you find. It tells you which are the sites that are similar to that, so that you will get to know whether it's a very unique thing that the person is doing, or he's copying, or there's plagiarism and things like that. And also you can use Grammarly, my favorite tool, for plagiarism checker. So you get some content on the internet and you want to know if it is a unique content or it has been copied from somewhere. Just copy that content and paste it here and scan for plagiarism. It will search the entire internet and tell you whether it is a unique thing or whether it is plagiarized. Okay. And also another important thing, you get to know about Jeffrey Broen or somebody, you get to know his website. Now, once you know his website, you open the website and you see the contents. Now you want to get into that website, some ethical hacking you need to do, a penetration testing you need to do, vulnerability access you need to do. But before that, you need to understand on what platform is that website built. It is very important to know which platform the website is built, whether it is built on Joomla, whether it is built on a simple PHP, whether it is built on WordPress. So all you need to do is just enter the domain name there and do lookup. It will tell you which platform it is built. Now, I have searched my website called Brand Selector. It is built on WordPress. Now, WordPress, it tells you certain plugins, and you know that many a times people don't update the plugins, and many a times, even if the updates are available, the person does not update, or many a times, many companies come out with plugins, but they don't update them by themselves. So these plugins will be vulnerable. They'll have a lot of loopholes, and hackers can very easily access the website through these plugins. Therefore, if you understand which are the various plugins on the site, it is easier for you to get into their system. So this is called as Built With. So I request you to visit this website called builtwith.com, and you can search for any site. It will tell you which is the technology that the website is built with. Also, there is one more site called Copyscape, which talks about plagiarism. You can give a link and you can see whether that particular contents are what? Whether it is unique or whether it is copied. So this can also be used by people in case during your paper writing and things like that. You know, though I don't recommend this site, I recommend Turnitin only, but still you can use such services in order to check whether the plagiarism is there or not. And also, many a times you have a website and you will not know which are the pages in that website. There might be so many pages in the website, but the person might not have shown it in the links there on the top. So what you can do is you can go to this site called as visualsitemapper.com. Visual Site Mapper, and you can search for that person. This is especially useful while searching people. For example, I am a staff in Sahyadri College of Engineering and Management, and there is a web page exclusively for me in the particular site. But for that, you will have to, from the main page, you will not get to know. From the main page, you have to go to Computer Science Department. In the computer, you have to go to Faculty. In Faculty, you have to go and search for Dr. Anand Prabhuji. But if you go to this site called as visualsitemapper.com and you put just sahyadri.edu.in there and do get map, it will show you all the pages that are there in the website so that you can understand which are the pages that are there, and you can try to gain more information about that. Now, in this case, brandselector.com I checked, so you get to know that there are so many pages that you're seeing in colored icons which are there. Also, sometimes what happens is all these sites, you know that people have told many of us that before you're visiting any website, make sure that the website, the connection between you and the server is encrypted, isn't it so? It has to be encrypted. So for it to be encrypted, you need to use a certificate, HTTPS you need to use. So you need to also check whether the certificate is expired, whether the certificate is very strong or not strong, and a lot more information, because certificates will also reveal whom is the certificate issued to, which is the company, which is the place, and so on and so forth. A lot of details you can get from certificates. How to get? Visit this site called crt.sh. Okay. CRT.sh is a certificate search website. See, these are all some confidential stuffs which I'm telling you. So I'm telling these things not for you to go and hack into somebody's system, but I'm telling you to protect your systems from others, and also only for education purpose only, and not for you to get into somebody's system and hack into it. So anyways, so crt.sh is a website. You search for a site and it will tell you whether the certificate is valid, or what is the quality of the certificate and things like that. So very useful site. Also, there is a website called as dnstwister.report. Now, what is this site? I'll tell you. Many a times we click on certain sites because it looks like that site. Now look at this. If I put facebook.com, it tells which are the 366 domains that are similar to Facebook. Okay, similar to Facebook. So when a person sees such links, he thinks it is Facebook and he'll click on it. But actually it is similar to Facebook, but it is not Facebook. So you can just see which are the similar reports, especially for your company. If you have got a company and you can search your company's name, it will tell you if somebody has created any website that looks similar to your company to cheat customers or to cheat your clients and things like that. So this is very important for you to remember. And if you come across any site and you want to download that entire site, how to download? You can't just take screenshots and take a printout of it. Instead, you can go to this website called archive.org. Go to archive.org, and there at the right side bottom, you see save page now. So you just enter the page that you want to save and just do save page. The page gets saved. So this way you can download websites in its actual form. Or if you want to take screenshots, FireShot is the best. It's the best tool for taking screenshots. Now look at this. Okay, look at this. This person wants to buy a washing machine. So what he does is he goes online and he searches for washing machine, and he gets some results and things like that. That's it. Now, there onwards, if he searches any website, if he visits any website, you have seen that the website will be showing you washing machine ads only. It will not be showing any other ads but for washing machine ads. Now, why does this happen? Because whatever you search gets stored in the cache memory of your particular server, of your client machine. So once it is there in the client's cache, so till it is there, any site you go, the Google ads will keep showing you that particular thing. So what the best solution for this is, you can just go to that cache and clear cache, and then you are assuming that it will not be showing you. Earlier it used to happen. If you clear cache, then that same ads would not be shown to you. Unfortunately, these days all the browsers that you use have got something called as a fingerprint. All the browsers have got something called as a fingerprint, and these fingerprints are sent to the server, which calls your browser as a unique browser. Just like how we have fingerprints, similarly browsers also have got fingerprints, and these fingerprints get registered on the sites, and that is how the sites know that it is you. So it is important for you to check whether your browser reveals the fingerprints or not, because if it reveals, your privacy is at stake. So the best website for you to visit would be Panopticlick. Okay, after today's workshop, I request all of you to please visit this website called Panopticlick and scan your browser. So that will tell you whether your browser is revealing a lot of information about you or not. Because if it is revealing, then it is time for you to change the browser, number one. And number two is, even if you're using the best browser, if you're not updating it regularly, then it is going to be very, very dangerous. I had told all of you, I'm going to tell you how to get the information about somebody, the IP address of somebody. So this is one of the ways in which we get it. So this is called as Grabify IP Logger. So all you need to do is go to this website called as grabify.link. Okay, and you need to create a URL. You need to create a URL. It will create one link and give it to you. But you have to agree to the terms and conditions. And once you create that link, all you need to do is just send that link to your friend. That's it. And your friend, when he or she clicks on the link, automatically, the minute they click on the link, you get their IP address. Okay. Now, I'm not telling this for you to hack into their systems, but I'm just telling you how the IP addresses can be retrieved. So once you get the IP address of that particular person, see now in this case, I created a link and I send that link to somebody. They click on the link, I get the IP address. Once I get the IP address, you need to understand that there are two types of IP addresses. One is called as IPv4 and the other one is IPv6. So IPv4 is 4 bytes each, 32 bits, and IPv6 is 128 bits each. Now, these IP addresses that you see, these IP addresses, I can just go to this site called as whatismyipaddress.com, and I can understand which is my IP. Apart from that, I can search others' IP. So if I have sent that link to you, you have clicked on it, I get your IP, I copy that IP and I paste it in this site called whatismyipaddress.com. I get to know your location. Not the exact GPS location, but I will at least get to know which is the state that you are in and which is the country that you are in. So this will make it easier for me to get more details about you. I request the person to please keep your mic on mute. Okay, thank you. So this is how we can get the IP addresses of some people just by them clicking on the link. That is why it is always advised, don't click on the links, because many a times we get a lot of links on WhatsApp groups telling that, click on the link to download something for free, to do this for free, that free, you have won so much, click on the link. Never click on links that you don't know, because if you click on such links, what happens is your IP address becomes public, and once they get to know your IP address, a lot can be accessed from your IP address. So this is how we can get the IP details. So I just searched my IP address and I got to know that my internet service provider is Jio, and I got to know my continent, my country, my state, my city. All these details you can get to know. So be very, very, very careful. Now, once I get to know the person's mobile number, I got the person's mobile number from his website or somewhere, I can go to this freecarrierlookup.com and I can search for his mobile number. It will tell me who is his service provider. Okay, this is very important, because now when I say the number is 98450, many would be thinking it is Airtel, but it might not be Airtel. He might have migrated to Vodafone or Jio. So which is the current service provider of that person? In order to find out that, you please visit freecarrierlookup.com and you will get to know the details of his service provider. Okay, so with the service provider details, a lot more can be accessed. Similarly, I told you for reverse searching, I give you examples that time. One is Google, images.google.com, and the other one is TinEye. TinEye is one amazing software which gives you very, very good reverse image search. It is a web-based application, so you can visit tineye.com. And one more thing. Now look at this. There is a website called as InSec Cam. Okay, it's called InSec Cam. Now this site, what it does is it shows you a lot of web cameras that are open. Okay, so this way, for example, now look at this. You can see some cameras in some different countries. You can also get cameras in India, everywhere, which are open. So using these open cameras, you can get a lot of information. A lot information can be accessed. So this is one site. There are many sites like that. Through Shodan, you can also find out which are the IoT devices or which are the cameras that are open, but still you need to understand that whichever network live IP video cameras are there, you can access it from InSec. It's open source again, because the data is already there, and you need to just get the information from there. All right. So also you can visit this website called Foxton. Now you know that when any website that you view, the browser history remains there. So if I can get your history, browser history, I can get to know which are the sites that you access, what time you access a site, what is the duration you spend on a site. All these information that can be gathered about your browsing history preferences. Therefore, many a times what people do is they visit websites on incognito mode, so that their browser history does not get saved. And also, whenever you get a URL, don't just click on the URL. You copy the URL and you just paste it on urlscan.io. Now here, when you paste it, it will scan for that URL and it will tell whether it is safe for you to access that URL or not. And sometimes we have these URLs like bit.ly and something like that. You actually, it's more like a QR code. You don't know where does that particular link go and where does it open. So you can go to this site called expandurl.net and you can paste that URL there. It will expand it and tell you where it is going to redirect you. So once you get to know where the redirection is, then you can actually decide whether you need to click on that link or not. So you just have to copy that link and paste it in expand URL so that you can get a lot of details. And you know that the person is coming by flight. You want to know what time the flight reaches and which route the flight takes, where the person layover happens, and all these details you want. The best site in the world, according to me, is flightradar24.com. So it has got a lot of free services and many premium services also. But it's a superb tool, especially for you to get more information about aeroplanes and their path. Similarly, if you want to know about cargo ships, you can use this website called as marinetraffic.com. It will tell you which are the ships that are currently traveling and where is it going, what is their path, and things like that. Now, all this information, you may think, why I need, but it depends upon the case. That person is going to come by flight, so you need to check the person's itinerary and all these details. The more and more details you can gather by such tools. Also, you can use a tool called as openstreetmap.com, which is unlike the Google Maps. It does not store any of your information. So you can use OpenStreetMap. It is also very fully fledged and you can use it and you can get to know the various places around. So another information for OSINT is newspapers. Newspapers contain so much of information. So you can visit news.google.com to visit and newspapers, and you can get so many newspapers. And that too, you can even get the archives of the newspapers. See, some newspapers have started in 1973, some have started in 1883, some have started in 1856. So you have these old newspapers, you can access them also. So a lot of historic information can also be achieved. And I think you have seen this particular thing, on IRCTC website, where somebody had told that some dirty ads are coming on IRCTC site. Now, why did the dirty ads come? Because probably he had searched for dirty stuffs before visiting this ad. So because you know that these sites use the data from your cache. So we have to be very careful. Now, why am I telling this is, since the cache can be searched by the server understands which one it is. It can be used against you also. So you have to be very, very careful. Okay. Now let's talk about this. There are instances where you might have got a message where it is from AX650034. So such many bulk messages many of us receive, isn't it? So now when we get such messages, if we get a message from a number, we can understand from where it has come. We can check the number. But if it has come from something like this AX, JK or BM, something like that, how do you know from where it has come? Therefore, I have made a chart here. Now you can look at this chart. So it was AX. So A here, Airtel, and X is Karnataka. So that means it has come from Airtel Karnataka Gateway. Okay. Now let us assume that you've got a message which is from JP. Now what is JP? J stands for Reliance Telecom Jio, and P stands for Punjab. So it is from Reliance Punjab it has come. So this way you can actually find out from which gateway it has come. So once you get to know about the gateway, then it becomes very easy for you to understand from where something has come. So just a second. Now I told you about Zoba Corp. Why did I tell this? So for you to learn more about the companies and to learn more about the director information, you can use Zoba Corp. Okay, and now let's come back here. In the Zauba Corp, we have seen the website is panamacorporationlimited.com. Now you can just copy that particular domain name. Okay, you can copy the URL and you can go to this website which is called as whois.com. Okay, now whois.com, if you go and if you just paste the URL, you get to know a lot more details like the domain name, the registrar, registration date, expiry date, updated date, who owns the domain, the contact of the person, the phone number of the person, the email. So you get the phone number, you can which is the carrier, you can get to know a lot more details. The email address you get to know, so you can send an email to that person. If he replies, you'll get the IP address and so on and so forth. So be very, very careful and use these services, which is called as Whois. Whois is the database that maintains records of all the domain names, the registrar details, the expiry details, the creation details and updated and all that. Similarly, you get two files. Let us assume you get two files. Both are same. Okay, both are absolutely same except for one or two minor changes somewhere. Now you want to know where are those changes. So you can just upload it on this site called diffchecker.com. Okay, you can also upload it on Draftable. So these are the two sites, Draftable and Diffchecker, and you can just upload both the files, one at the left side, one at the right side, and you can do compare. It will tell you where are those areas where the changes are there. Okay, where the changes are there. Very, very, very important. See. So now having said that, now there are many more things which I want you to understand. The things, let me explain to you. One is Facebook, so you can just search for somebody's number on Facebook and it'll tell you which the profile is. Okay, so this is the first thing that you need to understand, which is phone number to Facebook profile matching, number one. Okay, you can also use Icon. Icon is an Android app where you can tell the phone number and it will give you more details similar to Truecaller, but especially for Facebook, you can use the regular Facebook thing. And also you can use this site called graph.tips. So you can search for somebody's post, somebody's like you from a particular date you want, the post, most recent posts or any hashtags or the location if any post is tagged. So all these, because in Facebook you can't do such filters, but with graphs.tips you can do a lot of filters. Now many girls especially, they create Instagram profiles, and when I ask them like why, they tell me that I create that because people cannot open my display photo. My DP is very small and people cannot access it. Absolutely wrong. You can go to the site called instadp.com and you can type anybody's instadp.com/full size/ you just give the handle, Instagram handle there, and the entire photo in HD it opens. So nothing is actually closed source here. It's all open source. You can just download the image and you can use that image again, and you can try to that websites which I told you. You can try to find out where are the other places the image is there, or you can also try to use that username and check to find out if that some other social media sites. A lot of information. And there is one more thing which I wanted to understand, that there's a site called Down Detector. Okay, many times you think that the site is not accessible, so you can just put it there and you can find out whether it is actually not accessible or not accessible for India. Okay, you need to be very careful. So because Down Detector is a tool where you can, it's an online tool, you can just write the name of the site and check whether it is up or down, the site is up or down. And sometimes what happens is some content for you will not be accessible for a particular country. So you can check this site called as accesscheck.themonitor.org and you can put the URL there and select the country. It will tell you whether that particular site is available for that country or not. And if you actually want to access it and if it is not available for that country, then it is recommended for you to use a VPN. VPN is virtual private network, which will hide your country. And if you're using a paid VPN, you can also specify which country server to use, so that that site that you're accessing believes that you are in that particular country. So this is called as access check system. Okay, and also a very important tool, one more tool for OSINT is carbon dating. So carbon dating is, you know, that it's a process where for fossils they do the carbon dating to find out how old is this fossil. So the same thing is, you can carbon date the web. You can enter a URL and you can just carbon date. It will tell you when was that particular page created. You can also get a lot more information when it was edited and things like that. But very good tool, which is created by the Department of Computer Science in ODU University. So you can just go to carbondate.cs.odu.edu and you can access the carbon dating. And before accessing any site, please remember, my dear friends, before accessing any site, visit virustotal.com, copy that URL there, or any file before opening it, just scan it over here, and it will tell you whether it is safe for you. Because many a times people are sending these malicious codes and malicious tools to you, and you, without knowing, if you install it, then it's very difficult. I told you Draftable that time. So Draftable is just like the document checker, where you can put two files. It can be a PDF file, it can be a PowerPoint file, it can be a Word file, and it will tell you, it will compare them for you and tell you the differences between these files. Okay, and especially if you are an employer and you want to check whether that person is authentic or not, his Aadhaar card you can verify in this particular link. So these links are there in the PPT, which will give you the verification and check whether it is actually him or not. Similarly, PAN card verification details are there, driving license verification details are there, RC verification details are there. So you can use all these links to verify a particular person's ID cards to check their authenticity. Okay. Similarly, if there is any topic of interest for you, you can create an alert on Google. So you can go to Google and you can create an alert, and you can give your mail address, so that any time a news of that particular topic comes in Google on any of the website, if it comes, Google sends you an alert and tells that, you know, see, more information on this topic has come. For example, you're searching for somebody, you're searching for Jeffrey Bruin. So create an alert for Jeffrey Bruin. So anytime a new news about Jeffrey Bruin comes, because you can't keep searching on Google every time, Google does it for you. Google will search for Jeffrey Bruin every time, and whenever a new news about Jeffrey Bruin comes, it will come. Update you in your email. So creating Google alerts is simple. Go to google.com/alerts and you can create a new alert, as simple as that. Okay, and I told you that time how to track an email address. So whenever you get an email address also, you can go to their what is that, show original, and you can copy paste and you will get to know their more details. But there is also one more tool that you can use called Get Notify. Okay, Get Notify is a tool which creates a very small 1px by 1px sized beacon, which you can put it in your email and send it to anybody, so that whenever they open the email, you get to know their IP address, you get to know that they've opened, or you also get to know whether they've deleted it or opened it or forwarded it. All these details you can get to know about somebody. So opening email is also dangerous, my dear friends. I'm not telling you to do this to somebody. I'm telling somebody might do this to you. So we have to be very careful with regard to emails. So this is called as Get Notify email tracking services, where you can get the user's IP address, you can get the geographical location, you can get whether the message was viewed and how long did that person view that message, the length of the message viewing, and you can also get to know whether the message was deleted. Okay, and also you can verify emails at verifyemail.org, whether the particular mail ID is valid or not. Okay, so basically, how do you get hacked? You need to remember that hacking. There are two types of hacking. One is social engineering, which is the most common, and the one is the person actually enters into your system, because you know that there are two types of decision making routes: unconscious and conscious. So usually when you are busy, the decisions that you take are unconscious. You will not think a lot, and that is where the hackers make use of the your vulnerabilities, and they try to hack into you by using various social engineering techniques. But again, to stay safe from these techniques, I request all of you to visit this website called as cybersafegirl.com. I repeat, cybersafegirl.com, and you can be more vigilant while browsing websites. You can flag and report suspicious emails. You can use VPN wherever possible. Never click on unfamiliar links, and use strong passwords, 14 plus. This is just a recap of whatever I told you. Use an antivirus, and ensure the websites are safe before you enter your credentials. And remember, my dear friends, many of us are having neck pain these days because our neck is about 4 kilo weight, and when it is at 0 degrees, and as you keep bending, the pressure and the strain is more on your neck, and when you bend 60 degrees, it's about 27 kilo strain. So as much as possible, don't bend your neck while checking on the digital devices. You need to keep your head at 0 degrees, and for every 20 minutes of screen time, for 20 seconds watch 20 feet away, so that your eyes are not strained. Otherwise your eyes get strained, and as much as possible, these eyeglasses that you see with the blue lens cover, please use them, so that the harmful blue radiation that comes from your LED monitors can get blocked by. Even though you don't have power for your eyes, you can still wear this blue lens if you're sitting in front of the system for a long time. So anyways, if you have any questions, you can please ask. And this is the website. I request all of you to either take a screenshot, or later when I give the PPT, you can just download it. It has got almost every single tool for OSINT as updated on September 2020. It is fantastic book. It is a very big book. It's about 400 pages, but it's I feel it is one of the best books I've ever come across for OSINT. So please use this tool, and if at all you're doing any searching on OSINT, I request you to use one of the safest operating systems, that is called Tails. TAILS. So you can use Tails, which is the safest operating system, which can be booted from a pen drive. So that is where you do not leave too much of footprints also, especially when you're doing your OSINT searching. And as far as possible, when it is dark, don't watch the screens, because it will harm your eyes. So this is my contact number, this is my email address, and my Facebook. So I look forward to stay in touch with all of you. And if you follow my page, I keep giving regular updates on technology. So
okay. Okay, sir. Good morning. Prabhu sir, good morning. Sir, myself, Professor Neeraj Dubey from Jammu.
Hello, sir.
Sir, I have got one submission to ask you. Just tell me in brief about Foxconn Forensic. Actually, my signal was broken when you were deliberating Foxconn Forensic.
Foxconn
What is the technicality?
Yeah, it is. If you get hold of a system and you want to do a lot of analysis on the browser forensics, so which are the sites, how long the duration, what is the frequency of the website. All these details you can get from the free software, which is called Foxconn. They also have paid software, but free software is quite good, and you can get a lot of analytics from the browser forensics.
I think sir, your signal is very, very poor, sir. I am not able to. I
request you to please contact me on WhatsApp.
Just
with the details.
Pardon?
Please contact me on WhatsApp so that I'll send you the details, sir.
Okay. Thank you very much, sir.
Good morning, sir.
Good morning.
This is Ravi from Belgaum, Karnataka. You said do not scan the QR codes at all, but what if we go and scan the QR code at the petrol pumps and small shops where it is unavoidable sometimes?
No,
I
not
do not
not
have
do
cash, hard
not.
cash.
Beware while scanning the QR codes, because when you get a QR code, you do not know what is there over there. Okay. Now, if you're using Paytm also, now let me just tell you a very simple example, which one case that happened recently, sir. There was a petrol pump and there was a QR code which was there. Okay. What the miscreant has done is he has pasted a new QR code on that QR code there. Okay.
Okay.
So in the petrol pump, the actual QR code is there. Owner is also there, but this miscreant has come and pasted a new QR code there. Okay, and people came to the petrol pump and they came and scanned the QR code and they did the 2,000 rupees fuel transaction and showed it. See, the amount has been credited this way. And the petrol pump owner, for 2-3 things, he said, okay, 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 and the people left. But then after fourth or fifth, when he's seeing, the amount is not getting credited to his account. Later, he found out that while scanning that QR code, somebody has pasted some new QR code there, and the amount is getting credited to that guy's account. Okay, and that guy is sitting in some Jamtar or somebody, some very far off place. And his details, again, it becomes difficult because KYC is not done in many cases. So the point what I want to tell here is, when you are scanning for QR code also at any place, when you scan, it will show the merchant details. No, you please show it to that person and tell whether it is the same merchant details. If they say yes, then do the transaction. So one extra step you have to take while doing such transactions. That's all.
Okay, sir. Thank you, sir.
Yes.
Sir, good morning, sir. Apurva here from Bangalore.
Hello, ma'am.
Sir, I have like few set of questions. So one is like you were mentioning about the expand URL concept. So just I wanted to know the difference, like what makes it different from the expand URL and the short URL.
Okay. Now, when the URL is short, you do not know where exactly that site goes. Okay, you have no idea. It's a bit.ly or go.gl or any of these URL shorteners that are used. Now, there is a technique called as drive-by downloads. Okay. Now, in drive-by downloads, basically what happens is just click on a URL and in the back end, without your knowledge, a malware gets installed on your system, and then the malware can be a keylogger or it can be something that switches on your front camera without your permission and so on and so forth. So the best thing that you can do is you need to know which site does this particular shortened URL take you. So if it takes you to a good site, which is a popular site, then there is no problem. But if it is a site that is not very popular, or it can be a compromised site, so it is recommended you expand the URL, you take the expanded URL and you put it on URL scan or virus total or any of these sites. So let those sites scan this URL and tell you that it is a safe place for you to visit, and then you can start browsing the new site.
Okay, sir, like one more thing is like from the research perspective, sir, like if we have shortened the URL, and if because however I'm already taking the expanded URL and just to cross check I'm just shortening that URL. So what makes it different, sir? So like from the expanded version to the short URL. So anything that major thing that happens in the shortened URL, sir, from the expanded URL?
Yeah, the shortened URL is done especially for, like, let us assume that you're using Twitter and you want to paste, Twitter gives you only 160 characters to post. Okay, now the URL itself might be so long that it might have 190 characters. So you can't post the entire URL in your tweet. So you have to shorten it, number one. So shortening is done in order to make it more convenient for the user to click on it, number one. And the second thing is you might paste that URL, you might print that URL somewhere on a poster. So you can't print a very huge URL. So a shortened URL is easy if it is on a poster also for somebody to copy it or somebody to type it. So that is why the shortening is done.
Okay, sir. And any tool, sir, like if at all in a URL, so there is some malicious URL. And again, when we visit that page, so it might redirect. It has a collection of links wherein it might get redirected to other sites as well. So are there any tools which extracts the sublinks which are there in a page, sir?
Yeah, Virus Total does it for you, ma'am. So you
Okay,
can go to Virus Total and yeah, you can search for the URL there. It will do all the scanning and it will get back to you.
Okay, okay, sir. Okay. Sir, and how do we check whether a profile is a fake or a real one, sir? Just a
Uh,
profile.
that takes some time because it's not very easy. But I can give you 2 or 3 tips which you can do. Number one is you get a friend request from somebody, you accept that person, and after that, you first thing you need to do is check the date of creation of the profile. Okay, so if it is a new profile, then obviously the bells will start ringing when it comes to having more doubts. Number one. Second is check the number of friends that are there. Okay, so you can see if you have any mutual friends or things like that. So that way you can get a little more insights. And the third is check the content on that particular page. If there is nothing and if it is simply there to leech, then you get to know. So there is no a hard and fast rule which will tell you if the profile is fake or real, but you'll have to use different triggers in order to find out whether it is a genuine profile or a profile that is created in order to extract data or cheat people.
Okay, so it's a series of activities that we
Yeah,
will have to do.
there is no hard and fast rule.
Sir, then even for the certifications, if pertaining to forensics, it is CHFI which we can pursue. So anything specific to OSINT, sir, whether there are any good certifications that we can start up with it?
Since it is open source again and it is not owned by any company as such, so you don't have special certifications as such. But of course, if you go on Udemy and you go on edX, there are many courses, certificate courses that are there. I can share some links to you, or you can visit edX, EDX. Okay, so edX is a platform where many OSINT courses are there. You can take one of them.
Sure, sure. Thank you, sir. Thanks a lot.
Most welcome.
Dear participants, if you have any doubts, you can ask directly to the sir. Sir, there is one question in the chat box, sir. So in the chat box, they are texted on question.
You texted it to me on WhatsApp?
No, see in the chat box, you can check in, sir.
By Vinita, which one you're talking about?
Yes, sir, Vinita.
Vinita, ठीक है. If suppose our mobile got compromised and all the photos, videos, etc. is under attacker's control, he created WhatsApp groups like blackmailing in this particular situation, how preliminary measures we can take and use OSINT particular tools. Okay, see, ठीक है. So it depends upon which mobile you have. If you have a Android mobile or you have your this one, which is that iPhone, iOS. Now, how your mobile got compromised is the question. Your mobile got lost. If it is lost, the first thing that you can do is log into the dashboard of Google by just going on Find My Phone. It will show you there. And there's an option there called Erase My Phone. So you just erase it immediately. Okay, I'm talking about precautionary measures. Then you have the same option even in iPhone, where you can just log into the iCloud and you can just erase my phone. So this is the first thing. Second thing is, let us assume that your phone is with you, but still it got compromised because probably by drive-by downloads, one malware was installed on your phone, or you downloaded some malicious app, and because of that, all the photos and videos from your site, from your phone have got compromised. In that case, there are tools like you can use reverse imaging tools in order to find out if that person has uploaded that photos anywhere else, because I gave you some examples of 2-3 tools that time which can tell if a particular photo or a particular person is available, his photos are uploaded somewhere or the other. Okay, this is one thing that you can do. And once it is there, now let us assume that your video is there. There is a method called as DMCA. Okay, so it stands for Digital Millennia Copyright Act. So as per that, if any of your photos or videos are uploaded somewhere without your permission, you can always contact the administrator of that particular website in order to take it down. So if they don't take it down, you can visit the DMCA. Unfortunately, it is a US based thing. It is not Indian, but still you can visit DMCA and you can apply for their paid service, and they will make sure that your content, whichever is uploaded, gets removed at the earliest. And if you're still getting blackmailed and you don't have to keep quiet, because if you keep quiet, the blackmail continues. I request you to visit this site called cybercrime.gov.in, where you don't even have to visit a cyber police station or any police station. You can just lodge an FIR online, and then the necessary actions will be taken.
Dear participants, any other doubts?
We have a question here by Jaydev sir, which says that what are the opportunities for freshers? Of course, freshers have to be ready to work for at least a year or so as an intern with a very less pay. But again, it's not about the qualification in such degrees, because I always tell you have some of the best of the hackers who don't have a qualification at all. They may be not even 10th standard. So it's all about the passion that you have for the area and how much of time and efforts you're going to put in, because new tools keep coming, newer technologies keep coming. So you need to be updated almost every day. So if you're ready for that, yeah, this is a very good thing. And especially any specific security courses for banking and card management. Okay, I don't have it at the tip of my tongue, sir, but I request you to please send me a WhatsApp. I'll send you those tools, because I had done a program called as Swachh Banks, which was done for some of the banks like Corporation Bank, and which is currently the Andhra Bank, and the many banks. I had done this program called Swachh Banks, which talked about how to keep your bank servers and everything safe and secure. So there I had mentioned about some online courses that are available for you to learn. I'll share those links with you. Kindly excuse me for my voice, because of the cold, it is not at its absolute best. And anyways, thank you very much for the kind comments that most of you have put. I'm obliged and honored for your good wishes, and I look forward to stay in touch with all of you.
Dear participants, any other doubts you can ask? Dear participants? Okay, sir. Sir, thank you, sir. So thank you very much. The session was very good, very informative. So it was wonderful session, sir. So we learned many websites and tools for searching all these details and information. So I have one doubt.
Please.
Hello, sir. Can you hear my voice?
Yes, sir. You're very much audible. Tell me, sir.
Okay. Sir, for using this OSINT, what are the terms and conditions, sir? Suppose I want to make a company like using this OSINT. What are terms and conditions from the government of India? Or I want to use it legally. So as you said, you can learn a lot of money using this OSINT.
Yeah. So, Creative Commons license is there for OSINT, and every site has got their own terms and conditions, where many of the sites very clearly mention this cannot be used for monetary purposes, okay, where you can't earn money out of it. But there are some websites that do not mention that particular clause, so which means you can use it and you can earn money. And another thing is, you'll have to, of course, create a company, and you'll have to have the tools, right set of tools with you. And again, sir, some of the companies that offer such tools, they charge. For example, if you're going to use a tool from, say, any tool for that matter, if you're using, they have free version and they have the paid version. So many a times you will have to use the paid version also. So accordingly, you can charge your clients with the consultancy fees, and you can pay the relevant taxes, and you can run the show. There is no problem at all. And there are many companies in India, which I know, are using these services. So probably I can share those details with you, so that you can understand the model of operation of those companies. On similar lines, you may also start one by yourself, sir.
Okay, sir. Okay. Thank you, sir. Participants, any other doubts? Can ask. The participants.
Hello.
Ask.
Hello. May I audible?
Yeah, very much.
Yeah. Good morning, sir. Sir, I want to ask about the hidden cameras in the suspected rooms. Any tool or any website in OSINT, so we can detect any hiding cameras?
There are apps which claim to do the same. I have used those apps, hidden camera detector apps, which uses the infrared camera, but I'm not very happy with the results. But if you really want to check the hidden camera, sir, there is a tool that is available, which is called as RF bug detector. I repeat, RF bug detector, where RF stands for radio frequency bug detector. You can use this app. It will help you to identify if there are any devices that are listening, that are communicating, or anything in particular for that matter. But it will not detect cameras that are kept on the other side of the mirror, where the two-sided mirror cameras and all that, it will not. But other cameras that are communicating, yes, it will detect, called RF bug detector.
Prabhu sir,
Thank
just a minute. Sir, few of the times, I think in social engineering, I think the rumor mongers, some use photo tactics. They, you can say, upload a photo uh, in a deliberate attempt to spread communal, you can say, violence. How can we check that photo they have taken from some site, or that photo is really, you can say, really a live photo, or they have deliberately taken it from any other sites to spread communal. Is
Very
there any
good.
site?
Very good question. Please use TinEye, sir. TINEYE. TinEye. You upload that image on TinEye. It will tell you the source of that image, if at all it has been downloaded from somewhere.
TinEye.com, right?
Yeah, TinEye.
Very good, sir. Very good.
Yeah, I think there's a question there. If you have any doubts, you can contact me. Of course, you can contact me at any point in time. No problem at all. But the only thing is, many a times I don't receive phone calls because of the difficulty, especially during sessions to take. But WhatsApp, yes. So whatever the doubts are, most welcome. Anytime.
Okay, sir. Participants, any other doubts? I think sir has shared the WhatsApp mobile number in the chat. So if you have any doubts, you can ask through the WhatsApp. Okay, sir. So thank you, sir. Thank you for giving the wonderful session, sir. It was very good, very informative. So thank you, sir.
Thank you very much, sir. It's such a pleasure and honor to be amongst all of you. And I hope and pray that everybody browses the internet responsibly. Jai Hind.
Yes. Thank you, sir.
Dear organizers, I think such type of informative courses you do organize. They
Yes.
really motivate we people. They really encourage we people. They really inspire we people. They really enlighten we people. I think such type of courses, instead of you can say adopting the theoretical way, I think it's better to, you can say, to go in through practical way. I think okay, Prabhu sir, you are really dynamic. God bless you.
Thank you, sir. God bless you too, sir.
So thank you everyone. Dear participants, again the session in the afternoon session will start at 2 p.m. Okay, everyone can join. So thank you, sir.
Thank you.